And we're live. Look at that. We are live. Welcome back, fellow Rumblers. Welcome back to the channel. And as always, welcome to my live stream. Well, there is no background music again. I forgot to play it. Maybe I should play it. Okay, there you go. Background music is Welcome to the Show by Kevin MacLeod. It's licensed under Creative Commons 4.0. You can download it for free at incompetech.com. Okay, it's been a day. It has been a day. Let's see what's happening in our favorite space, the gaming space. And if there are any other interesting things happening, I'm going to check them out as well. In any case, let's get started. Let's see here. We have here. Let me close this. This is the notifications. So here we have. This is not really gaming, but I guess it is somewhat related. We have here Henry Cavill returns to save Warhammer Amazon series and gets full creative control. Let's see what this is about. Last time I heard something about this particular topic is that there was a breakdown in communication, something like that. They couldn't agree on a lot of things, and so it was eventually canceled. Let's see what's happening. Let's see what's happening with Warhammer. By the way, I've never played Warhammer, even the video games.
Hey guys, Nurion here. It's been a while since we got any updates for the live-action Warhammer show, leading to many assuming that the behind-the-scenes drama between Amazon and Henry Cavill led to the show being silently cancelled. But the report we'll cover today tells a whole
That was what I believed happened.
What crazy things they're demanding of Henry.
I guess I was wrong.
Is even a good idea. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. This report comes to us from Dead Park Place and it's titled Henry Cavill's Warhammer 40k live action project definitely not dead, stating that the drama and the disagreements they had have not led to the show being cancelled after all. So according to this report, even if no news of the show are reaching the public, they're still working on it. That even though there have been disagreements between Amazon and Henry Cavill, and the show and the cinematic universe they're planning were in danger of being cancelled, things are definitely moving ahead now. According to the contract they had, Amazon, Games Workshop and Henry Cavill needed to sort out creative differences until the end of this year, or the show and everything else they had planned beyond that would never see the light of day. But reportedly they have managed to come to an agreement now, and we have to thank Henry Cavill for that. That guy pushed so hard for this show to get made, even standing up to Amazon executives. Him being the massive fan he is, wanted to bring this show, this universe, to the general public to showcase what it's capable of, including
Maybe Henry Cavill agreed to having
he knows that if done right, with big budget movies and this could become the next Star Wars in terms of popularity.
woke
The potential is there
content in his Warhammer show.
Can be happy that Henry Cavill is a part of this. Cause if this turns out good, then that's most likely only because of Henry and him pushing so hard for faithfulness and for it to be done right. But that's the big problem that I see. Amazon doesn't exactly have the best track record when it comes to adaptations of beloved properties. Before the Rings of Power released, people thought the Hobbit movies were a disappointment. But Amazon managed to prove people wrong. They showed Tolkien fans what an actual disappointment looked like.
I'm not going to expect much.
Not as good of
I'm pretty sure there is
but it at least they
gonna be wokeness in Warhammer.
decided to completely
They're going to change.
they thought
I'm pretty sure of it.
and did
They're going to change.
story and the characters accurate. And when
Well, I'm just guessing, of course. I'm not actually sure.
negative, it wasn't Amazon who was at fault, but it was the fans. They blamed the fans. We should not forget that that's the kind of studio that Amazon is. And that's the studio that we are now supposed to trust to deliver a good and accurate Warhammer adaptation. But of course it could also turn out to be great, cause this time we have an actual fan as the producer of the show, which wasn't the case with Rings of Power. I highly doubt that Henry Cavill would let production move forward if
The thing is,
somehow in order to push some kind of identity politics. That used to be the big problem before. The reason
it's always the executives that gets their way when it comes to these things.
and Henry refused to. If you don't know, DEI stands for Diversity, Equity and Inclusion. And those guidelines demand that every Amazon show or movie,
DEI stands for shit.
that each project is
That is what it stands for. It stands for shit.
and that they need to have at least 50% of all dialogue. That at least 50% of actors and characters need to be people of color, and that they need to have at least 50% of the dialogue. Also,
The opening scene of the Warhammer series is
characters need to have some kind of disability.
one character, maybe I'm not quite familiar with Warhammer, so I'm just going to make up things.
Of their project.
Maybe one character will be introduced and he will meet one character, another character, and
Much room for creativity.
tells him or tells the other character
It comes to adapt
or introduce
the existing property. And we are talking about Warhammer here.
themselves.
War heavy and
Themselves. Oh my goodness.
it's kinda hard to make
As gender fluid.
talk be women on top of all those other requirements. And that in a Warhammer show, a franchise where most characters happen to be male. Henry at first opposed that, but then he seems to have gotten the idea to simply include the Sisters of Silence and the Sisters of Battle in the show, two groups that are entirely female, and thus Amazon would get their female representation that they wanted so badly. And yet they even refused that, cause they argued that the Sisters of Battle were too religious, and they didn't like that, and that the Sisters of Silence didn't talk, and were thus not
Amazon?
at least half of all dialogue.
Hating women?
You see, I don't blame Henry for refusing to
I'm not surprised.
when they would extremely limit him in his creative freedom and in making this show accurate, which was crucial to him. And when Amazon's solution was to introduce female custodies into this all-male faction,
Because it's all about control.
Henry and
The introduction of that
there have been no
women faction makes sense because it's already in the lore of
that Henry and Amazon
the franchise or Warhammer.
and since we all know
But according to this,
if he's
they did not like it. They did not agree to it.
it wasn't Henry who gave it
And what they wanted is to introduce
in order
a female in an all-male faction.
line here. If this show ends up being
Again, it's all about getting their way.
wasted and lost out,
And
so it seems like the conflict is over because Amazon
either you
what he demanded.
agree with them or
Opportunity to create an adaptation that's faithful
you're a bigot.
of Warhammer. And as production seems to continue again, it's
This is so easy, my goodness.
he got what he wanted. Now, is this show what I would have wanted? Not really. But let me explain. It's not that I don't trust Henry in keeping the story and the characters accurate, but the issue I personally see is more budget-wise. And that's something that nobody is talking or worrying about except for me, it seems. This is Warhammer we're talking about. A franchise set in space, not on Earth. We've got all kinds of spaceships, weapons, monsters, planets, etc. I mean, the Custodies alone are 10-foot tall transhuman super warriors. I do imagine that portraying all of that would make the show extremely expensive, in order to make it look even somewhat accurate to the size and scope and look of all of that in the games. I mean, Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, Witcher, any live-action Star Wars or Marvel show, or even Rings of Power, which is the most expensive show of all time, are nothing in comparison to how expensive a Warhammer show would need to be. Those are fantasy shows that could simply be filmed in different locations across the world. Yet for Warhammer you can't do that. You would need to build dozens of sets. The costumes and the CGI would be 20 times harder to get right than anything ever done before, in terms of TV shows at least. This would have to be the most expensive TV show of all time, by a long shot, in order for it to even have a chance at portraying anything somewhat accurately. They could get the best writers in the world, but even if they try their best to stay accurate to the lore of Warhammer, I don't think they would be able to translate it from page to screen. Even Disney's live-action Star Wars shows look cheap. They are some of the most expensive shows ever made. Yet honestly, they look like fan films to me, filmed mostly in some desert or forest. Nothing special. Maybe you disagree and you don't worry about that at all, and that's okay. But I think that Warhammer can work as a movie, but that it's impossible to adapt in the form of a TV show. At least as a live action TV show. But all of these problems would go away if they would make an animated show instead, which would be what I would suggest Amazon to do. Amazon is no stranger to animation.
The entire series will happen inside a room.
Serious. They knew portraying Invincible in live action.
That is how they're going to keep the budget low.
They went to animated.
They will write a story that only happens
Haven't gotten around
in a room.
But looking back at it, there's no way they could have adapted that as a live action.
The story will be something like this.
And that's what Amazon could go for again with Warhammer as
The protagonist or the main character was trapped
Disney
in a room
show. But the best
and he needs to find a way to get out without
show is Arcane.
being found out by the enemies.
There's so much to talk about. The characters are well written and developed and multi-layered. The dialogue is brilliant, and the story is incredibly engaging. And that's just in terms of writing. Then we have the amazing soundtrack, the great voice acting, and the reasons why I even brought this show up in the first.
And there will be only one character.
The animation.
And he'll be doing a lot of monologue.
And yet, they were able to use that level of animation for a TV show, which is mind-blowing to me. The action scenes they were able to portray here weren't just totally amazing, but totally impossible for a live-action show. Fast-paced, brutal, great choreography, and with a few unrealistic elements sprinkled in here and there. Since it's animation, they could portray anything they wanted. No matter how crazy, no matter how big, and no matter how much it would cost to portray the same scenes in live action. Arcane's budget pretty much didn't change, no matter what they wanted to animate. Apart from that, go and do yourself a favor and watch Arcane. It currently stands as my favorite show of all time, and it's probably gonna stay that way for quite a while, as long as Season 2 delivers on the same quality level. And since Season 2 just started releasing, I'll be obsessing over the show for a while now. So I would suggest Amazon to go the animated route instead. Do it in 2D or even better 3D animated. It just has so many benefits. It's cheaper, it looks better, you don't have to worry about the action.
Well, if they do that in 3D or 2D animation, then it's no longer a live action Warhammer movie or series.
Crazy stuff on screen. Of course I hope Henry Cavill delivers a great show, and I do have faith in him. Cause if anyone should do it, it should be a fan, and Henry is probably the biggest one in all of Hollywood. But going the animated route would have a lot more benefits, and I guess Henry could still be portrayed in the show, and he could still be a voice actor. I think that I would have preferred that. But I'm interested in what you would prefer to see. Are you optimistic for the Amazon show? Tell me in the comments. And that's gonna be it. For today at least. I hope you enjoyed the video. If yes, you would be of great support if you could leave a comment down below, hit the like button,
Again, if it's animated, then it's no longer a live action. I guess they can still claim it's live action. Just take a look at the Lion King. They say it's live action. How is that live action when everything is computer generated? Okay, so I was looking at the notifications here. Let's see. This looks interesting. I'm going to check this out.
What's this? Absolutely insane news. Exclusive FEMA official ordered relief workers to skip houses with Trump signs. There's no way. What? Implement best practices. No, not one goes anywhere.
There is one word
Okay.
to describe that,
Advertising Trump.
and it starts with E
Notes Trump
and it ends in L.
per leadership. A federal
It's evil.
management agency employee has been removed from her role.
It's not even bad. It's just evil.
Supporting Donald Trump. After the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, the agency said Friday. A FEMA spokesperson told CNN.
And they call themselves human.
It's not even a question of whether this happened or not. Like, they're just admitting it. They're like, yeah, this happened. The employee who issued this guidance had no authority and was given no direction to tell teams to avoid these homes. Ron DeSantis said following reports that he directed state officials to investigate the matter. I mean, FEMA is just coming out and immediately taking accountability for it. It's not like they're like saying, oh, well, we're not sure whether this happened. They've already apologized for it. Well, the positive is that there is a good ending.
Well, it doesn't matter whether they apologize or not. What matters is it happened.
If FEMA workers are found guilty of deliberately discriminating households in disaster relief efforts, they can face imprisonment ranging from 1 year up to a life sentence in the case someone died due to this discrimination. The worker is currently under investigation.
Okay, now we have another one. Let's see what this is about. This can't be real.
It appears Mark Halperin original reporting was right. Pelosi's plan was for an open primary.
Had the president gotten out sooner, there may have been other candidates in the race.
Should there have been an open primary?
Why does it sound like an AI or a Texas speech?
Were to step aside, that there would be an open primary.
But Biden stuck it to the establishment, who threw him out by endorsing Kamala 30 minutes after dropping out. I love how everybody was like happy that he was stepping down, and now he endorses Kamala Harris. And it's just like, here's one thing that you can be sure of, though, is that now we know that it actually was Biden that put this out and it wasn't his campaign, because it's stupid. Yeah, it was actually him, guys. But Biden stuck it to the establishment by endorsing Kamala 30 minutes after dropping out. Donald Trump accepts lunch invitation with President Biden.
Mercy come and wash away what I
82 years old. One final fuck you. After all of this, I got one more in me.
That was insane if true. Okay, Hypnotic uploaded gaming industry meltdowns continue. Blizzard employees threaten violence. Ooh. Again, one word. Starts with an E, ends with an L. We can't just always blame mental illness for what these people do. We can't always blame it on mental illness. Maybe, just maybe, besides mental illness, maybe they are also inherently evil. They say that mankind is inherently good. Then I heard someone say that is inaccurate, because mankind, the more accurate thing to say is man is capable of good and man is capable of evil. They're not inherently anything. They're capable of both. And my guess is these people are capable of evil. So we can't just always blame mental illness. If they really have mental illness, how are they functioning? How are they able to get jobs in Blizzard? Is Blizzard hiring mentally ill people? Maybe. That could be the answer. Or maybe these people are just capable of evil.
You know, I got to tell you guys, after Donald Trump won the election, there
Or has the capacity for evil.
astronomical proportions that it's really hard to keep up.
It's more likely.
I know you guys have been sending me all the memes, all the videos, all the hilarious content that's available to nitpick through. But at the end of the day, it's just a lot to keep up with. However, what I will say is that when it comes to the gaming industry, they are melting down. It's seemingly extra hard because now we have picture proof of what seems to be Activision Blizzard employees appearing to contemplate violence following Donald Trump's election win.
Also, my life is extremely going downhill because I'm getting acne and I'm getting fat and I'm balding right here. If you can't see the whole triangle, I'm like a piece of hair. I'm balding. I'm turning ugly. And my face is getting fat for the rest of the day. And I can't even shower before work.
Or maybe
Oh my God.
this is just some kind of performance, you know, them melting down. They know they're going to get views from it. So someone said in X that they're pretty sure that they weren't melting down while setting up the tripod or setting up the camera.
Ensue after the victory would be astronomical. We all saw that. We all said that. We all predicted that. I think that's pretty fair and that's pretty easy to predict. But Activision Blizzard
My guess is there are those who
is insane considering that
did it for the views as a performance, or maybe they're trying they're practicing their acting skills because they want to get into Hollywood or something.
Just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So again, it says alleged Activision Blizzard employee appears to contemplate violence following Donald Trump's election victory. An alleged Activision Blizzard employee appears to have begun not only contemplating
Violence towards whom?
company Slack. Former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern, aka Grums, shit. You know, Grums has the longest title. It's always former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern, aka Grums. It's like so long. Shared a screenshot of an alleged internal Slack communication that shows an anonymous Activision Blizzard employee writing the following: "It must be working on redacted, making me more violent, but I have never been more tempted to buy a gun." Grums commented more slackly.
Well, there's nothing wrong in buying a gun as long as you go through the legal process. And
if you look at this picture here,
when I say legal process, the buyer also went through the psychiatric evaluation that they are mentally well or mentally capable of
this person
owning a gun, because if not, then it's trouble.
With the gun emojis. And then this person says, if you can afford it, get life insurance. No one fights harder than insurance companies. And if more minorities get them, then it'll be harder for hate crime to get swept under the rug. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. How many of these people who said this are probably white? Let's be real. How many of them are probably white? If you really genuinely believe that you are suddenly going to wake up a slave tomorrow because Donald Trump got elected president of the United States, then you deserve to be retarded. You really do. I just don't understand how anybody could be that stupid. Donald Trump being elected president of the United States is not going to suddenly make you a slave tomorrow. That's not how this shit works. And he's not trying to oppress minorities. What are you going to tell all the minorities who actually voted for Donald Trump, including myself? Who are you going to tell? Like, I mean, what are you going to tell them? What are you going to tell them? What are they, self-hating? Every single one of them is a self-hating Hispanic or a self-hating black person. That's the coping and seething that you're willing to go to try to spin this narrative in your favor. Are we really doing this right now? Grums previously shared from an inside source that devs are melting down after the election. About half of the office is losing their mind. I'm sure. You know, if you think about all of these woke studios that are out there, some of them are worse than Activision Blizzard. Can you imagine what it must have been like at 343 Industries? Can you imagine, well, I'm sorry, Halo Studios now. Can you imagine what it must have been like at Insomniac Games, for example? Or can you imagine what it must have been like at Ubisoft? Ubisoft of all companies, can you imagine? It must have been insane. These people must have literally read out there in the office while they were watching everything go down. I mean, it must have been crazy, and it's still crazy to this day, I'm sure. And then he added that people are crying, panicking, leaving work early. Trans people are...
For some reason, I don't really care.
Crisis.
I'm just interested because
in a subsequent post, he added, I thought it would be only around...
It's fun
but it's nearly 50%. It's crazy. That's insane. So wait, people are crying, panicking.
It's fun to make fun of
Leave work early because of somebody who won the election. Yeah,
stupid people, I guess.
trans people are talking about buying guns. That's probably not a good thing, statistically speaking. I really don't think they should.
Again, there's nothing wrong with buying a gun as long as you go through the legal process and you were checked.
Into woke ideology. In fact, the company's president
Your mental capacity was checked,
statement declaring that allegiance
and you were declared
diversity, equity, and inclusion website
suited
wrote the following: for us to operate at the top of our
to
game,
own a gun. There's nothing wrong in buying a gun,
an inclusion environment where everyone can show up as the best,
especially in
motivated, and comfortable.
the US, where it's
As we look at our player community, we properly reflect the diversity
in their own constitution.
in our thinking in order to exceed their needs and expectations as they connect in our incredible games, he added. He also stated this culture journey is one that never ends. We will strive to improve every day. This is an essential global team effort that we will continue to refine together. So again, guys, it's very clear that Activision Blizzard for a long time now has been drinking the Kool-Aid. And let's be honest, right? Let's be honest for a second. Why are they doing this? They have massive amounts of scouts.
Yeah, there was someone, I think I saw in X, someone asked the question, what rights does
sexual assault or some form of workplace misconduct.
what rights does a regular
Multitude of different things.
human has
Shield. They're trying to
the LGBTQ plus community doesn't have,
from any sort of criticism.
unless of course they're not human.
It might come out their way from these lawsuits. It's
I'm pretty sure human rights
past like
covers everyone. If you're human, then you are covered
because they all get settled
by human rights.
people off, right? That's basically what.
I don't understand why they want to be always, they always want to be
Very surprised to see this. Then it says the website also
special.
fuels innovation. So we're creating an
What makes them special? Are they inhumans?
always welcome. Our best work comes from a
It says right there, human rights.
best selves, and we work hard.
So
Environment that encourages and celebrates this.
unless they say the LGBTQ plus community are not humans, then
Places to work for LGBTQ
I guess they need
Rights Campaign Foundation
special rights. But
in 2019.
obviously they are all humans, and all humans are covered by human rights.
Reports that they have to do
So it doesn't make sense.
on it, and they scored high because they
What other rights are they asking for?
anybody that is thoroughly
Asking the right to live?
the corporate equality index. I don't know.
Everyone has that. The right to education?
People who
Everyone has that.
take it seriously. You have executives that get bonuses.
What rights do they want?
Amongst a multitude
The right to fuck children?
take it seriously. But
That's disgusting. And no one will
Activision Blizzard
let you do that.
what happens
I also saw another post in X
and then when their echo chamber gets shattered.
that there is a certain country that
Heads want to roll.
wants to lower the age of consent to 9 years old.
Insane. So anyway,
My goodness.
hope you did enjoy. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate if you could like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see
I have no words for that except disgusting. Okay, let's see what this one is about. So this is somewhat gaming, but it's not. It's more political. And I guess this one as well, Asmon Gold clips. These are really fun to watch.
What's crazy is that this is still going on. It's really funny.
Well, not the women of the view. They're not fun to watch, but the way Asmongold reacts to them
Bernie said
is
all of the
what's fun to watch.
wrong. Everybody who doesn't agree with me is wrong.
What is wrong with this
That is bigotry.
message of divisiveness, of xenophobia, of racism, of misogyny, over a message of inclusiveness?
All they're doing is slander. My goodness. Again, I'm still confused.
Democrats have always
I
been
hate the view.
Why no one is suing them?
I hope this show.
The entire show
I hope
is just slandering everyone.
is give these people a microphone and they're going to send voters over your way at a ratio that's incredible. And it happened. The first time in 20 years they won the popular vote.
It's condescending. There is a condescending. The way that the left speaks to its voters. It really is. A message of joy and inclusiveness? No, the message of no.
It's just, they're never going to be able to figure it out.
Point is, I don't blame Joe Biden. I don't blame Kamala Harris. I blame a messaging within the Democratic Party. You don't blame the Republican Party? Can I just finish my point, please? I obviously have a problem. Anyone has a problem with Donald Trump. The bigger question should be, yes, Sonny, why did they vote for him? Yes. In sweeping.
I'll tell you why. I think that most people don't think Donald Trump is a morally good guy. That's why they voted for him. They voted for him because he's not a nice guy.
No, we need to be introspective. If we voted for Kamala Harris, we need to say what didn't resonate with the voters. Do you know what didn't resonate with the voters? When they were saying we don't feel safe and the left focused on defund the police and bail reform. Yeah. When they said we're worrying about, can I just finish? Let me just.
The other lady doesn't understand why Donald Trump won.
Denied the border was a crisis and kept saying, no, it's fine. This is not a point. Is they screamed and screamed and screamed. They didn't vote for him because he's a racist or a misogynist. They voted because they needed help in their everyday lives.
Oh, wait, they're going to say I'm a racist and a misogynist in the exit poll?
Really? Not everyone that voted for Donald Trump was a racist and misogynist.
I agree with that.
Everyone swept. They swept every category. And the reason they did is to say, hey, guys, no excuses this time. Yeah. Look, they lost everything.
There's still half the country that doesn't agree with him.
I think they should shave their heads on this stream. Next time they do another episode, they should do that. To show solidarity and to protest the election results, I think they should all shave their heads. You can't keep saying this stuff. We lost popular vote. I know.
So instead of thinking or having or reflecting on how they lost or as to why the general populace voted for Donald Trump, instead of doing that, they're just blaming everyone who voted for Donald Trump and calling them racist, all kinds of bad names or labels. Again, just one word. Evil. My goodness. At least the lady in blue, she has some common sense. The other ladies, they totally lack common sense. And those watching that show, yeah, don't have any common sense. I guess maybe some are just watching for the entertainment. Maybe they're sitting on their couches just laughing at the ladies. It gives them entertainment because seriously, no person in their right mind will listen to those ladies and take them seriously. All they do is slander people or slander everyone. Okay, Hero High uploaded what a complete disaster. This was like 16 hours ago.
Hey guys, hope you're having a great weekend. Going to be a pretty quick video today. Just a few things that I thought was rather funny going on in the AAA gaming industry. We got That Park Place in the headline. Rocksteady and Warner Brothers rumored to remake Batman Arkham Asylum after SSK The Jail's financial disaster. Financial disaster? Are you telling me the rainbow capitalism attempts didn't work?
Again, I may be laughing, but I do agree that
let's remake one of our old iconic games.
There is nothing wrong in making games for the LGBTQ plus gamers because they do exist.
Remake, and then they often make that remake terrible too. I think most people are going to want them to not dare.
Game developers should, and
cost Warner Brothers this.
It's okay if they make games for them.
Pretty astonishing how later the same year Concord would come out and actually.
But they shouldn't expect to sell a lot of copies of the game because obviously it's a niche audience for a niche. It's a niche game for a niche audience.
Concord though. Moving on from that, sticking to Warner Brothers. This also came out the other day. Warner Brothers admits Multiverses underperformed. contributing to another $100 million hit to revenue in its game business. But hey, maybe if
Good. That's good because it's a business, and the only thing that matters to them is profit.
anyone that
If they're not making money on something, they will course correct. Hopefully,
a hollow shell of its former self.
hopefully,
Founders Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker decided to start their own.
unless of course they still have a lot of funds to burn. For example, with Disney, they made a lot of money with Wolverine and Deadpool,
And
the movie.
the financial flop that's SSK
And I've read somewhere, I've read that
around a month ago. Gameplay of-
Ryan Reynolds, if true, was not happy because
So yeah, maybe
instead of course correcting, what Disney did is they took the money from
all right, hopping over.
the profit or the money from they made from the Deadpool movie and allocated it to projects
Player count actually
that are surely not to make money.
won throughout that week.
I'm not sure if that was I'm not sure if the report was true or not, but
413. Wow. Currently 223. Great job. I'll leave
it's hard for them.
again if you think Rocksteady
It's hard for them to course correct
or that if you got any hope in
if
them at all. And if you
they keep getting money, if they still have money to burn.
have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.
As long as they're making money, they're not going to course correct. That's why you must vote with your wallets.
Hey, what's up, guys? Over here.
Okay, so this one is from Rev says Desu 2024, the slop flopped. Okay, let's go check this one. This is somewhat new.
So as I'm sure most of you are already aware, the year 2024 has been a year where a bunch of woke garbage in media has been struggling mightily, and that's a good thing. We have seen many titles like Star Wars The Acolyte and Star Wars Outlaws, Dustborn, Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, Unknown 9 Awakening, Zao, among many others, flop extremely hard, and nobody is feeling sorry for those titles. However, some studios and producers have been able to survive this wave of flops because they've had titles to offset their losses. Like Sony, for example. They have actually survived and actually overcome the Concord flop that cost them hundreds of millions of dollars simply because they were in on Black Myth Wukong, which overcame all those losses from Concord. Now, other studios and producers, maybe not so lucky. BioWare is in some big trouble right now. So they put all their cards on Dragon Age the Veilguard. This is a game that many predicted would be a massive success. And when I say many, mostly people in the gaming industry, whether it's developers, teams, and also games journalists. Now, looking at the numbers here, we're quite a bit into the release of this game, and it's not looking good, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you're already aware that the peak number of this game only reached 89,000 players, which is not good for this game. A big budget, a very successful franchise, and a caked-in fan base that consists of millions of people. Only achieving a number like that, getting crushed by games like the Banana Game, it's just embarrassing. And you can see right now, only 42,000 players. And again, it's only been out for about just over a week, so that is a pretty abysmal number for Veilguard. And now we're seeing some predictions and rumors regarding the number of copies sold for this game, and it's apparently, allegedly, less than Star Wars Outlaws. In fact, it is significantly less than Star Wars Outlaws. And if you know anything about the sales of that game, you know this is an absolute tragedy for BioWare. Now, before we get into the actual numbers here that are being rumored, let's kind of remind ourselves where we're at with this game, and especially when it comes to the way that games journalists have propped up this game and the way that games journalists, as an update here, have been backing off of their claims that this game was a success. So we've been told over and over again, Veilguard was actually a commercial success. You dumb chud gamers, you know nothing. This game was actually a big success.
Sure, there's nothing wrong with claiming that the game is a financial success. It wouldn't change anything because gamers are not stupid.
Reviews. This was before the game was released. These were the early reviews. It looks
They're only hurting themselves.
stronger than Black Myth Wukong. And you can see the reviews themselves when you take a deeper look. they're not so original. In fact, all of them pretty much say the same thing over and over again, using the same phrase, a triumphant return to form, over and over again. And it just shows the unoriginality and also the fact that all these reviews, one of the things they scaled into the review.
Nothing wrong with making woke games.
No serious gamer actually cares about. But anyways, you can see that.
Just don't expect the non-woke gamers to buy it.
Everyone has
I guess you can
player launch on Steam, which is
call them non-binary. There you go.
Which of course,
I saw that in Twitter
this game
or in X.
They could say, wow, look at that. A woke game succeeded. Take that, chuds. Well, of course, their language is manipulative. They assume or try to impress upon you that EA doesn't have some sort of a routine practice with their games, their single-player games, where they release it on Steam many years after the initial release. And that's what they have done with many titles like Dragon Age Inquisition, where they released it on Steam 6 years later. That's why a lot of journalists are saying, whoa, it increased sales by...
If your audience or if your fans or consumer
released so much later in Veilguard
is 90% non-woke,
so very...
why would you make a woke game?
Anyways, one of these...
So that you can capture the last 10%? It doesn't work that way. Come on, I thought CEOs and executives, they become CEOs and executives because they are smart and intelligent people. I guess they're not.
Go bro, top the charts. And he shows
they're not very smart, nor they are intelligent.
Ended up getting, but in his eyes, this was
I'm pretty sure that is how they thought about it.
15 or
they know their audience is 90% non-woke, so they thought, hey, how about we make a woke game so we can capture that last 10%, so we'll have 100%.
Shoulds get dunked on.
But no, it doesn't work that way. If you make a woke game, then you lose the 90%.
By Jason. And Mark Kern here would point that out, saying Jason hates you. He thinks you are chuds. He mocked the go woke, go broke meme, and it obviously backfired on him. And he is very well connected at the dev level with many woke studios, including BioWare. What does he know? EA has released 0 numbers. If it had sold 1 million copies in 24 hours like Stellar Blade, you would have heard about it by now. So that's a very good set of points. I mean, number one, the backing down is very suspicious because it's like, man, where did that bravado go? You had such a fun time owning the chuds with your ridiculous statement about Dragon Age the Veilguard's quote-unquote success. Why did you delete your tweet? Do you disavow what you said? Or are you saying that you got it wrong? No follow-up there. They just silently deleted it. So what does he know? Well, looking around, you can see BioWare, who was tagged in that post, is clearly quite offended by what Mark Kern had to say. And they, of course, blocked him, which is a completely petty and stupid thing to do. And not only that, with the updates of the block feature on Twitter, this pretty much accomplishes nothing. You can view other people's profiles, even if they have you blocked. You just can't directly interact with their posts. But on top of that, the best question is, what does EA think of all this? Because clearly they are not very confident. If you've been paying attention to games like Stellar Blade, Wukong, even the latest Dragon Ball game, if a company or a game achieves, let's say, 1 million or 2 million or 3 million sales in the first 24 hours, they let you know about it immediately because it's in their own interest to. It makes the game's sales look good and encourages people to check it out because it must be a good game if so many people are checking out. Well, we've heard nothing from EA. Not a single post, not a single number.
Who knows? Maybe in 10 years it'll
as to what's going on here, and really
it'll reach 1 million copies sold.
Some alleged insiders who are claiming that the sales are extremely bad. And it really shouldn't surprise you that the allegations that the sales are bad is something that's going out there because on day one, I mean, Veilguard, on its much anticipated release, was crushed by a beta test for Monster Hunter Wilds. And again, yes.
And the defenders are claiming that the beta test of Monster what's that again? Monster Hunter Wilds was free to play.
BioWare has made it very clear that they have just moved on. That they're trying to just say, well, that happened with Veilguard. Let's move on to something else that might make us money because they've already confirmed that they have shifted their attention.
Again, BioWare, there's nothing wrong in making an LGBTQ plus game for the LGBTQ plus gamers.
We're just going to give some quality of life improvements.
Just don't expect the non-LGBTQ plus gamers to buy it.
Content.
And if you're going to go forward and make more games
that we were
for the audience that you're targeting, scale down your costs and you'll probably make money if you scale down the costs and not spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a niche
he was the one who
audience.
The pre-orders of this game were absolutely atrocious, and that really just kind of tracks with all the information we're seeing, not just the direct data we're seeing from the Steam charts, but also from the less direct evidence we're seeing, like from EA and their lack of a response or lack of posts regarding their sales. But this is from the article here. So it says YouTuber Endymion revealed that a source shared with him that the game has sold about 500,000 copies, which is just half of what is rumored regarding Star Wars Outlaws. So if you know anything about these sort of expectations for a game like this, that is so abysmal. Star Wars Outlaws, with its 1 million sales, was considered a gigantic flop. And Veilguard is barely achieving half of that, according to the source. The sources that Endymion's been talking to, by the way, have been proven to be very reliable. And going further, the number that we're hearing from people at EA now is that there was between 70 to 75,000 pre-orders in total before release. Again, don't need to be an expert in the field to know for a game like Veilguard, that is really bad. So the final quote here is, in total, what I'm told that Veilguard may have sold overall so far anyway in the 500,000 range, which may sound good to some, but this is completely abysmal for a game of this level. And yes, if you want to check out Endymion's video, I'll put a link to it in the description.
Okay, so there are billions of gamers and they were only able to sell 500,000 copies.
The gaming scene in general right now, and a lot of the concerns gamers have had and the insights they've wanted have been revealed by these insiders, and I think it's really great to check out. Now, here's the last thing we're going to look at from that article. So, in quotes here, I'm also told in terms of refunds that currently the game had at least 30,000 refunds in the past few days, which is not good for your game that has barely sold 500,000 copies to be hemorrhaging players like that. He then shared, so generally speaking, Veilguard is not a commercial success. It needed to sell around 4 to 5 million to make a profit, at least. And that clearly is not going to be happening based on what we're seeing here from...
Who knows? It might happen in 20 years.
Continued copium. And, of course, one of the themes here with Dragon Age the Veilguard is that people say it is a woke game. It's not just having woke components in the character creation process. Woke aspects are weaved into the entire story.
It's an LGBTQ plus game.
Because you misgendered someone. Ridiculous shit like that.
You will find it tagged as such in Steam. It's really good that Steam recognize
no matter what reactionaries tell you
what the game is actually is.
Journals like this, they don't understand why people hate woke games and what makes something a woke game. It is when the entirety of the game is focusing on wokeness. It's not just having a few aspects here and there, like in the character creation process, for example, that exists in games like Baldur's Gate 3. It's when the story is catering to it. Just like I said, asking people to pull a barb or encouraging them to basically have a punishment.
When the game is more about preaching an ideology,
just bloodbath,
than
Suicide Squad killed a judge.
Having a coherent story
Unknown Nine Awakening
that tells the the growth of the characters, then that is woke.
Shadows. That is going to be one of the most interesting moments we'll see in a long time. And
imagine if you have a Mass Effect game and
release date in February, but
the story is centered on the main character preaching the coming of Christ.
Ubisoft as a whole is mind-boggling.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people, even Christian gamers, won't like it.
Significantly worse PR and optics than all these other games. So
the only reason why woke gamers
Assassin's Creed Shadows, we are much anticipating
are,
that, and of course it'll be covered here, but we have a few months until then, so
you won't find woke gamers saying they don't like woke in games because most of them don't actually play games.
see you guys next time.
They're too busy raging in social media.
What?
Ah, look at that, look at that. YouTube is showing me my live stream. Yeah, that is not real. Okay. This is a trick. You won't find, if you go to your YouTube front page, you won't find my live stream on your front page. In fact, if I open YouTube in another, in incognito, in privacy mode, I won't find my live stream. This is a trick. YouTube is trying to trick you, to make you think that the algorithm is pushing your content, when in reality it's not. So if you see this, something like this, when you're live streaming and you see your content on the front page of YouTube, don't fall for it. That is not true. It is a trick. It's a lie. Okay, let's see this from, this is Joe Rogan. I'm pretty sure this is not gaming, but well, there's the keyword right there. Interesting. Let's go check this out.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh, this is such an interesting time. We get to sit back and watch as the left unravels. Sit back and witness all—
So what will happen in 2028? I don't think Donald Trump can run for a third term.
Democrats following this
Who is going to
It's almost as if I'm watching
inherit
navigate blindfold
or continue his legacy?
Tell what's going on, or
maybe Elon Musk.
They are still kind of moving around, just kind of randomly and aimlessly. You know what it feels like is misdiagnosis season. Everyone on the left is pointing the finger, but they all seem to be getting it wrong. All the experts, of course, who get paid the big bucks to show up on the TV and act as if they're authorities on all the issues, can't seem to freaking get it right. And here's yet again another one of those examples, this time with the whole Kamala Harris campaign Joe Rogan failure. Let me show you guys, it's pretty interesting.
A lot of content creators are going to milk.
So just when you think the Democrats—
they're going to milk this dry.
They of course fail.
For 4 years.
Wrong direction. Like I said, blindfolded wanderers. Eli Mistal, one of our favorite big brands.
Am I milking it dry?
Swung and missed with this.
Not accurately, since I don't make money from my videos or live streams.
Need to build their own Rogan. Somebody who can speak to the people he speaks to without being a guy who wants to kiss to billionaires like Elon Musk. They don't freaking get it. Let me show you another example, actually, and then we'll get into all the details.
You know, our show on Breaking Points last night consistently had close to 100,000 people watching, you know, millions of viewers. No attention from Democrats, lots of attention from Republicans. I hope that this is the last Democratic nominee who says no to Joe Rogan. Like, even if you have to go to the studio.
I would go further than that, Ryan.
Yeah.
You need your own Joe Rogan is the bigger point. That's the bigger problem, not
well,
that.
Democrats had their own Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2020.
Well,
they simply don't get it. We don't need Rogan. We need our own Rogan. It's such incredible narcissism, and it shows that they don't understand the problem. We need our own Joe Rogan. Yeah, what does that mean? You need another—
Yeah, the guy on the left,
you know, they just don't—
already said it. They had Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan is some sort of right-wing brown—
They lost him.
And that's the entire point.
But I think Joe Rogan is more of an independent. Maybe he's even a Democrat.
But these people can't seem to wrap their head around it. No, what they need is a very influential podcast host just like Joe Rogan, who sits down with them and does nothing but promote all of their deluded conspiracy theories. It's unbelievable. They don't seem to understand the issue. The problem is obvious. Kamala Harris could never go on Joe Rogan's show, not because he's a right-wing shill that's going to bombard her with all kinds of antagonistic questions, but because Democrats don't run on honest narratives. They lie and fabricate, and they know that that won't fly with Rogan. I guess these days, being intellectually honest means you're right-wing, huh? No, they need to build their own Rogan, as if they don't already have 3 of those, or at least 3 attempts. Not to mention Bill Maher, Jon Stewart, Trevor Noah, I mean the list goes on. What they really want is not to have to go on Joe Rogan's show, but to have their cake and eat it too, of course. That seems to be a trend here, where they get a platform like Joe Rogan, just without the whole honest conversation thing. You know, just showing up with a bunch of actors in the crowd, clapping like seals at everything you say, with the host calling you Mamala or something like that.
I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now. But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
They want kiss the throne treatment and unquestioned loyalty from the audience. It's actually kind of sick if you think about it, because that's basically all we saw throughout the Kamala campaign. Her essentially showing up on these shows to get her behind kissed and a manicure and pedicure at the same time. Meanwhile, the other candidates were actually showing up and having the conversation. And now their thought process isn't, oh, well, you know, maybe we should be having that honest conversation and winning on the ideas. No, it's, we need to build our own shill, just like the right-wingers have. What kind of conspiratorial mind is that? That's like kooky tinfoil hat stuff. That's like crackhead on the corner type thinking. A little bit paranoid, don't you think? Somehow Joe Rogan's their enemy, and we need to get our own soldier just like Joe Rogan's a right-wing soldier. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan's political compass enters the room.
Okay, so anyway guys, I'm going to end the stream here because I have to do something important. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, and I'll be back later.
Consider universal basic income a really good idea. I want free college education.